go to a lot of the facilities that are out there and sit there and see Joe's transportation company shows up and see what he's doing. Is he doing ambulatory? Is he doing wheelchair? Is he doing stretcher?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to NEMT Expert Talks. I have a very special guest with us today, the one and only Mr. Howard Berkowitz. Howard, how you doing?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you?
Doing swell. Howard, I'd rather you introduce yourself rather than me.
Great. I've been in the transportation space for 35 plus years. I started out as vice president for New York City Transit Authority, ran operations and planning for the city of New York for subways and buses, left that organization to come to Florida. I've owned a number of companies, one of them being a non-emergency medical transportation company. We grew that to 50 vehicles, did about 1,200 trips a day, and just blossomed from there. Experience for non-emergency and general transportation expanded and grew over the years, and sort of became the go-to person for my county. I sit on a number of boards. NEMTAC is one of them. I sit on the certification board as well as the resource and advisory board, and sit in Palm Beach County Vehicle for Hire. We help write the ordinances in the county, and my main focus really is the NEMTAC, which is actually helping create the standards in the United States, being a standards creator. So that's pretty much where I am right now.
Yeah, see, this is why I wanted you to introduce yourself, because you've done so many things in this industry. I knew I was going to miss at least some things. Howard, you have 3.5 decades of experience in NEMT, and there's not a lot of people who can say that. And I just want to say, as part of your introduction, we have customers of Bambi who have used your consulting services to get them from 0 to 1, from 1 to much larger than 1. People only have glowing things to say about how invaluable you are. I mean, I literally have Bambi customers telling me, like, I could not have gotten to where I am, without Howard. So I'm really excited to have you on. And today's topic is a very relevant one for especially companies that are just starting out. We're going to have you talk about some of the common pitfalls that NEMT companies fall into when they're trying to get up and started. And, this is going to be an overview. And of course, getting you and your help on a personal basis is, there's nothing like it in avoiding these pitfalls. But I want to just go through some of these pitfalls so that people understand, hey, here are the things that I have to look out for. So without further ado, the first one is not doing your homework when you're deciding to get up and running. I'll let you take it away, Howard.
Yeah, that's one of the largest problems that individuals do not do. They don't do their homework, meaning that they go on the internet and they'll see a bunch of stuff out there and they'll say, oh, that's a great business for me. And they'll go in and they'll start a company and start to do all this stuff instead of saying, hey, is there enough business in my area to actually support what I want to do? So they don't research the market. That's one of the big problems. They listen to other people, and one part of the country may be a little bit different. If you only have a certain number, a small amount of individuals that live in your town, and you're looking for business, and there's not enough business to support what you do, you need to find out about that ahead of time. That's one of the reasons that I find that when people come to me, they've already gone through some of these mistakes. So before they either get to me as a consultant or anybody else, it's important for them to do their homework. See what competitors are in the area. Go to a lot of the facilities that are out there and sit there and see Joe's transportation company shows up and see what he's doing. Is he doing ambulatory? Is he doing wheelchair? Is he doing stretcher? What is he doing out there that, maybe you can do? Is there enough marketplace for you and him and other competitors? So that's one of the most important things. Go to those places of business as part of your homework. See pricing, see if the pricing will support your area. Sometimes, pricing is just driven down so low in an area that you may not be able to survive in an area. You want to come in with X amount and they're really looking at Y or Z. So pricing is another issue that you really do. And overall, do your homework to make sure, you can support your business that you really, really want to open and grow overall. And most entrepreneurs don't do that. I try to instill in all of my clients, and I make them entrepreneurs, that I want them to do their homework. My whole premise behind what I do as a consultant and entrepreneur of multiple other companies, besides having non-emergency, I've owned taxis, I've owned limousine services, I've run large paratransit operations. I built a very, very large transportation broker in Miami, handling over 100,000 trips a month. And the biggest thing that I can tell that potential entrepreneurs and individuals that want to own a non-emergency company is do your homework, get out there. And what I help them do is to help them, instead of just giving them the fish, I want to teach them how to fish. This way they'll always understand what they did and how they did it, not just that I did it and handed it to them and sort of walked away. So that's, again, do your homework.
Yeah. And I think, from what I'm hearing, like a big part of doing your homework is doing the market research, is like, the core component of doing your homework there.
Absolutely.
And this sort of leads into the second topic, or pitfall rather, which is failing to have a business structure or failing to have the correct business structure. I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, business structure is quite important because, for one, it protects the company overall, and it protects the overall integrity of the business. It's not just there to protect you for lawsuits. It's there to give your business a structure so you can do certain things and use that as a springboard overall for what you want to do for your overall operations. A limited liability corporation, an LLC, is important to have. You want to make sure that everything is done correctly when you do file that. If you're going to do an INC, certain states are more prohibitive in an INC because you sometimes will run into something called dual taxation. You'll get taxed on the personal level as well as the corporation level. Probably want to go with an S corporation if you're going to do an INC. Again, check with your tax professionals for your specific area, but make sure you protect yourself, because one of the biggest ways that individuals, when they get sued, the first thing that happens is they show that the corporation was fake or false, and they pierce the corporate veil, and then now you're held liable personally. So again, protect yourself by having a business structure. It is paramount when doing business. And show people you're serious about what you do, and have a corporation. Have your name as an LLC, an INC, limited partnership, whatever structure, but make sure you embrace the legal structure for the business setup that you want to set up for your company.
All right. On to number 3, not training drivers properly.
Not training drivers is the number one reason that companies go out of business, have general issues and problems. They'll have a guy watch something on video online, which is usually a reason that the individual doesn't do things correctly, hands-on. Some people just don't do the training that's necessary, whether it be how to handle individuals in their operations, how to handle ambulatory passengers, wheelchair especially is a specialty, stretcher is more of a specialty. You have to make sure that the training takes place, that the individuals are fluid in doing it, and that you have a structure in place to continually educate and re-educate your individuals every 2 years, or just do random checks on the individuals to make sure they're doing it correctly. and that is paramount in this industry, that training does not take place. And that's, again, NEMTAC is creating those standards for a lot of that training. It's being done online, hands-on. I'm a certified trainer in the United States, certified master trainer in wheelchair securement as well as stretcher securement, and we help the individuals make sure that they're doing things properly and protecting their companies, protecting the riding public, protecting the insurance company who's had faith in them to, give them insurance for their companies, and overall, and making sure that they do things properly and keep their passengers safe that they provide service to.
And that leads right into our fourth one, which is accidents.
Accidents are one of the biggest reasons, again, that companies will go out of business and have crisis management required. Again, back to the previous one, no training of individuals who do wheelchairs, no training for stretcher incidents. These things continually happen where they don't train, no training, accidents occur. The two biggest items for injuries for, let's say, wheelchairs is not anything to do with an accident. It's more of sharp turns and sudden braking to avoid an accident and making a sharp turn. Individuals come out of the wheelchair and they get injured, and then they really have problems. Lawsuits occur and injuries occur and insurance claims occur, and all these things keep raising the insurance costs for all the non-emergency companies out there, and the costs keep escalating. And if you keep raising your own rates by having incidents, you may not be able to get insurance, which means that you'll go out of business, or worse is you'll operate illegally with no insurance. And then that could be really, really detrimental. But injuries cause lawsuits. Lawsuits cause companies to go out of business. And when that happens, they go into the NEMT graveyard. And that's not a good thing. We want to try to keep people out of it. Again, by training and basically educating your drivers on how to protect the passengers and be safe at all times, it's paramount that individuals learn the training and education and how to get things done and how to do things properly. Because when they don't, that's when all these things come apart, and then you have incidents and accidents.
And we saved the best for last. My personal favorite one is hiring a consultant.
Hiring a consultant, no matter who you hire, whether it be myself or anybody else out there, you always want to hire a consultant that has experience in the field. Preferably somebody who owned a company is preferable. They've had vehicles, they've had employees, they just didn't collect a paycheck and work for somebody else. So that's most important. Specifically for NEMT, you don't want to hire a consultant who is just a management consultant, because they don't know the industry. And hiring a specific consultant that is really based in the transportation / non-emergency space, it is really, really important to do, because they understand the pitfalls and problems that occur overall and over time, especially with the training and with doing certain things. They can help you way before you even start, where most people, they go online and they Google stuff and they read stuff and they see, oh, I want to start a business and they want to do transportation, this and that. And they read a lot of stuff on the internet, and there's a lot of good stuff out there, but there's also a lot of garbage out there. So people say, oh, they want to go get a Medicaid number, or a Medicare number, not realizing that Medicare really doesn't cover non-emergency medical transportation, not in the traditional sense. It's always done through Medicare Advantage plans and things like that. But for the most part, they take a lot of information off the internet, and it's really not pertinent to a lot of the stuff that has to be done. What we do from our side is we create for our clients a business blueprint roadmap. And what that does is we see what skill set they have, we help them along we encourage them in certain areas, and we basically set them up so they can succeed at what they do by having this roadmap that would help them see all the pitfalls and look at each item. And we walk them through it. And we want to teach them how to fish, not just give them the fish. Because if we give them the fish and then we're finished working with them and we step away, they have no idea how to run their business. And that's a very, very big problem. They may not have a skill set that they think they can run their business with. I had one client that worked for a very, very large coffee chain, Starbucks. And he said, "Oh, I just make coffee." I said, "You don't just make coffee, you learned the system." And he said, "What do you mean I learned the system?" I said, "You learned the system. If I wanted a caramel macchiato, flat, whatever those different drinks are, you know that you need 2 pumps of this, 2 shots of espresso, this amount of this amount of that. So you've learned the process. So your skill set is you understand how processes work. This business is no different. When you secure an individual in a wheelchair or a stretcher, there's a process in place that you learn. And once you learn that process, you understand it, and now you understand how to safeguard those individuals. When you set up your business, it's important to have a methodology in place to handle all of these trips that come in. When I was doing my business, and I had my non-emergency transportation company, we handled 1,200 trips a day. We didn't have any software at the time. The software that was out there was some of the big guys, and it was very expensive. We couldn't afford to do it. So we did everything by hand. Today, technology has come around completely, and there are a lot of good products out there. But some of the products are very, very top heavy. Some of them, you need your MBA and engineering degree to really understand and how to work them. And they're filled with a lot of stuff that really is not needed in the industry. There's just a lot of these software, and you have to really go through them. I don't like to call out any software out there, but there's a number of really good products that are out there. Of course, one of them is being Bambi. The product is very, very easy to use. It literally, you don't need any type of degrees to use it yet. It's highly functional. It's highly AI driven, and it allows individuals to really, really take control of their business and make their lives much easier. And a lot of the other products that are out there are they have just too much stuff in there, for at least a startup. Maybe a bigger guy maybe wants that stuff, but I can't see why. And again, I've been doing this for quite a while, and it's just too top heavy, with all these different things, and you don't really need that. And then Bambi is nice because you can grow with the company, and the product line has a lot of stuff in there, and they're very, very reactive and take advice from clients, and just overall grow and see what the industry needs. And that's really, really important in the industry, because as the industry does evolve, it's good to get on board with an individual company that really understands the needs of the non-emergency space. And I think they really do that, where a lot of guys have just really said, "Oh, what do you need? What do you need?" And they develop stuff for one company, and it's really very, very segmented to that company, and most of the guys don't need it. So it becomes very, very top heavy overall. And that's pretty much what ends up happening. So consulting is an important part. I urge people to do their homework first before they come to me, or come to any kind of consultant. If you don't know how to do it, hire somebody who does, because it'll allow you to spend X amount of dollars up front to understand the market before you invest $1,000 in vehicles. And before you do any of that stuff, you really, really need to do your homework. It is paramount. I have guys that come in and buy vehicles and do this and do that, and find out that they can't use these vehicles, or they invest in a stretcher vehicle and find out stretcher is not allowed in their particular locale of government area in certain states. Overall, they really, really need to plan. And I just go by the adage that when people fail to plan, they plan to fail. And again, do your homework and make sure you understand what's going on and how everything works.
When they fail to plan, they plan to fail. I like that. Howard, I just got to point out for the audience, I've known you as long as I've been in the NEMT industry, and you're one of the few people who has over 3 decades of experience in this industry, and you've been consulting for NEMT companies for a large amount of that time. Nobody stays in this industry as long as you have unless they have a genuine passion for what they do. And this isn't just coming from me. This is coming from Bambi customers who I've spoken with about you. They tell me Howard has a genuine passion for this, and his help for our business comes from a genuine place. So I just want to say, Howard, I'm really honored to have you on, to have you as a friend and advisor, and thank you so much. And I think the info that you're giving everyone is so invaluable, not to be underestimated. Thank you so much. Are there any final thoughts you want to leave the audience with?
No, again, just do your homework, pay attention to what's out there. You can read. There's nothing wrong with educating yourself and understanding the industry, but don't get wrapped up in a lot of the stuff. A lot of the stuff is marketing stuff and pushes to this and that. See what else is going on out there. See the competitors out there. Make sure you educate your team so they can make the right maneuvers and understand things and how things work. Safeguard your passengers, and just overall, pay attention to the industry. Get involved. NEMTAC is a great place to get involved. Just overall, get involved and make a difference. That's what NEMTAC does. It helps write those standards, which do not exist currently in the marketplace today for the most part, but they will very, very soon. Run, Bambi, run.
Awesome. Thanks, Howard.